The Toronto Raptors finally have a center. Let's get to the film breakdown. Long awaited. Been talking about it for a couple of days now. We got to get into a Trayce Jackson Davis live where we're going to break down the film. We're going to look at his defense, his offense, his potential, how he fits in with the Toronto Raptors. I've been meaning to do this for a while. Obviously, a big fan of the player, and I'm very happy to welcome him to Toronto. He will likely make his debut for the Raptors Sunday against this team. And if you haven't checked out this little clip that I did last night around 4 a.m., Moneyball, the Toronto Raptors, trying to hack basketball, definitely a good little perspective into some of the players that perhaps Trayce Jackson Davis compares favorably to throughout his first 3 years with Golden State. And a little bit of victory lapping here. These were my top trade targets in November for the Toronto Raptors. As you can see, Trayce Jackson Davis, Jalen Smith, Robert Williams. Hey, man, Robert Williams might still get bought out. Maybe the Raptors can have two. What's better than one? Two. But Day'Ron Sharpe was right at the top. And what is it that I liked about Day'Ron Sharpe and Ivica Zubac? Well, there's a lot of things I liked about them. So we're going to talk a little bit generally at first. Before we get into the film session, let's talk generally about what bigs do and what you should be looking for in a good big. Okay. First of all, before we start, the Pendance Film Festival is coming up February 27th to March 1st. I am the founder of Pendance. It is my baby. I love it very much. Many of you have attended the Pendance Film Festival. Supporting this festival means the world to me. Supporting the arts means the world to me. Somebody asked me the other day, Rob, you're a basketball savant. Do you ever think about anything but basketball? Yes, sir. I think about film. I think about film a lot, and the Pendance Film Festival is coming. Tickets, passes on sale, link in the bio. Okay, let's talk about rim pressure. Let's talk about the most important place on the basketball court. Yes, we take a lot of threes in in the modern NBA, and there is this theory that the best way to get threes is to put 5 3-point shooters on the court, but that's not really how it works. The Boston Celtics offense doesn't work without Jaylen Brown's rim pressure. The Toronto Raptors offense is suddenly a lot worse without RJ Barrett's rim pressure. So what is it about the pressure that is put on this center part of the court? Well, think about the geography of the court. How much more likely are you to create open looks on the corners if you can put pressure in the middle? In a lot of ways, this is why some people argue Shaquille O'Neal is the most important, impactful basketball player in NBA history, and maybe why some people feel that him winning only 4 championships was a massive underperformance in terms of what he could have done. So here's some things that I think great bigs should be able to do, and this holds true for Shaq as much as it holds true for Arvidas as much as it holds true for Ben Wallace. There's a lot of great bigs. Rasheed Wallace, obviously, for a very, very long period of time throughout NBA history, your roster was built through your bigs. And there was this idea that if you had a great center, then everything would just work out, that you could just put anything that you needed as long as you had that one player close to the basket who can create pressure. So here are some things that I think are pretty much universal and timeless. Active hands. All right, whether we're talking Hakeem Olajuwon, whether we're talking Ben Wallace, or whether you're talking Nikola Jokic, active hands are very important from your big, because bigs are often put in positions to defend the most valuable shots in the NBA, which are layups and dunks. So having active hands delays offense, allows teammates to catch up into place. Number 2, balanced feet. Show me a big who won't make it in the NBA, and I will show you a player who lacks balance. Very important to have balanced feet. Number 3, geographical positioning. A lot of people, get very, very hype about the athleticism of a player, but what about the balance and positioning of a player? What about the ability of a player to just be in the right place? This is what, pretty much is holding back a lot of bigs, James Wiseman, Precious Achua, all the athleticism in the world. Sorry to pick on 2 former Memphis players, but all the athleticism in the world. You look at a guy like Chris Boucher, how often is he in the wrong place? Shout outs to Chris Boucher, just got waived. But this is the point. Players who are consistently in the right position allow their teams to play organized defense. And I think Trayce Jackson Davis has this in spades. Versatility. My bad. Misspelled that one. Versatility. No spell check on Photoshop. My bad. So versatility, or versatility, as I have written here, the ability to at least hang in cross match situations. What does a big do when they are, trailing and they have to guard Steph Curry? Well, probably pray. What do you do when you have to guard a John Morant in his prime? Probably pray, beg for help. But can you offer some resistance in that situation? Now, there are very few centers who can really hang with guards. They are very special. Draymond Green, occasionally Bam Adebayo, sometimes Jaren Jackson. Those are the guys that win like borderline defensive player of the year. But beyond that, how about a big's ability to just hang for a couple of dribbles, absorb a little bit of a bump on a drive from a Ben Mathurin? Maybe you can't really do much about a Jalen Brunson with his dribble manipulation or a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander with his elite pull-up, but can you do something about an Andrew Wiggins drive? A lot of bigs are unfortunately just completely helpless with any amount of space behind them. So bigs are always trying to get back to the paint. Most bigs are going to be most successful in the paint. But what about the bigs who can actually hang on the perimeter? And I think this mismatchability thing comes up next. Do you have the power to exploit mismatches? Are you even a mismatch? There are so many bigs out there that have hands like that cinder block hands, and they don't have soft hands. They don't have good touch. They pick up a lot of offensive fouls. They don't scan the court well. They don't see this, they don't know how to read out of a double team. At which point you just become very predictable, right? You pick up offensive fouls trying to, seal smaller players. There's a feel to playing basketball. Number 6, you're usually the biggest human being on the court. How do you create space for your teammates? Your screen setting. This is what gets Jakob Poeltl paid what he gets paid. This is what presumably, is what forced the Indiana Pacers to trade for Ivica Zubac. This is probably what got Isaiah Hartenstein paid $27 million. The Raptors may catch a lot of slings for their Jakob Poeltl, fanfare, but it's kind of ironic that two players who have a lot in common with Jakob Poeltl, which is Ivica Zubac and Isaiah Hartenstein, are being viewed by some of the best general managers in the league, which is Kevin Pritchard and Sam Presti, as such valuable assets to add to teams that frankly have championship aspirations. The screen setting here is very important. Creating space on the screens, being able to do so without getting offensive fouls, very important. Speed. Now, okay, I think the speed thing is a little bit overrated. You don't have to be a bullet train like Ulrich Shamshi. You don't have to be a gazelle running down the court like Chris Bosh. Maybe you don't have to, but it helps. It helps. It helps to be fast on the release. It helps to dart down the middle. The faster you do things, the faster you process things, the more likely you are to catch the defense sleeping or to force the defense to make a rush decision. Number 8, offensive rebounds. The Steven Adams special. A lot of great offensive rebounds in the NBA right now that are catching a bit of a renaissance, even though they may not be the most switchable, may not be the best shooters, but they get their team extra possessions and ultimately winning the possession battle, usually, unless you're scheming it like Nick Nurse, is going to help you win the game in a big way. Also, the cleanest threes in the NBA come off of offensive rebounds in an early transition, and offensive rebounds are very good because offensive rebounds can often stop the other team from getting transition, get your team likely a second clock and a second shot, and also can generate some of the cleanest looks. Also, off of offensive rebounds, very often there is a cutting opportunity for a slashing guard, i.e., a slashing wing like Jacoby Walter or RJ Barrett or Scottie Barnes. These are all guys who can cut off of offensive rebounds. Number 9, boxing out, not necessarily getting the defensive rebound, but do you do a good job of stopping other teams from getting offensive rebounds, which is to say, do you box out? Are you able to successfully put 2 people on your shoulder and hold them away from getting offensive rebounds? This might allow guards to get in, and usually guards are the ones who are best at starting transition. So again, another Steven Adams shout out. A big part of why Russell Westbrook got so many rebounds was because Steven Adams did a lot of heavy lifting for him. A lot. Unfouling. A completely made up term to talk about how do you play defense without fouling. Now, bigs can often be very foul prone. Jakob Poeltl, through his first 3 years, was very foul prone. Most active, event creating bigs are very foul prone. Pascal Siakam was another one who was very foul prone. Some of these guys veer into unbelievable territories like 9, 8 fouls per 100 possessions. Rafael Arujo was another very foul prone player. Just to give you some Raptors examples of players that the Raptors picked. So the fact that Trayce Jackson Davis is so unfoul prone is actually pretty special. Number 11, movement in general. And I don't mean this necessarily as transition. I don't mean this as speed. It's just your movement around the court. Hitchless, accurate, efficient. Number 12, restricted area gravity. What kind of pressure do you put around the rim? Are you a good dunker? Are you someone who finishes above the rim? Are you someone who consistently smokes layups? Are you someone who puts a shoulder into people and is able to successfully move people out of the way and generate clean looks at the rim within 3 feet? Number 13, free throw shooting and jump shooting can be a really big attribute for a big. Obviously, players like Miles Turner have an advantage, added bonus. Guys like Carlton Towns, guys like Kristaps Porzingis, in that they are big pick and pop threats and they can create wider driving angles for their guards or, pick and roll ball handlers. And then number 14, which I think might just be the most important thing, which is how well do you solve problems? Bigs are consistently the last line of hope for any defense and very often the first point of, start for offense. And so how you solve problems and just basically your basketball IQ in general, your read of the game, your feel for the game is very, very important to me. So all of this to say, Trayce Jackson Davis fits a lot of really good things. So let's take a look at things that he does well, piece by piece. We are 11 minutes and 25 seconds into this. I think I've introduced the topic pretty well. Give this video a like if you like film breakdowns. I'm going to make myself very, very small. And let's just make Trayce Jackson Davis very, very big. And let's hope we don't get any copyright. Okay, so here's some of the stuff that he can do in transition. So this is a little bit of a, leak out from his days as an Indiana Hoosier, but he's also able to do this. And this is important. Sometimes opposing teams will use a big as a dribble handoff guy, or we'll have, sometimes we have Jakob Poeltl handling the ball above the break and, waiting for delay or waiting for a guard to come and receive the ball so he can dart downhill. Sometimes bigs will operate the basketball in places they're not comfortable with. He actually has a pretty unique ability to poke the ball away. I'm not saying he's great at it, but he is above average for sure. And here, he also has the ability to handle the ball. Sometimes the Warriors have actually allowed him to initiate offense like he's Nikola Jokic. They don't do it often, but I wonder if this is something Darko Rajakovic would be willing to do. He's also a wonderful, receiver of transition offense. Now, again, the Toronto Raptors fans who watch the games day after day, and especially the ones who follow PENSARE Basketball and watch our film breakdowns after every single game, for a fact that the Raptors smoke more transition opportunities than just about any team in the league. And it is largely because they often have cramped spacing in transition. Guys who don't know how to fill lanes correctly, guys who are bunched up together, guys who make passes when they should be going to the rim. Trayce Jackson Davis is actually quite efficient in these situations. Now, here, if this was Scottie Barnes, unfortunately, I hate to say it, he's probably passing this off to Gary Payton, right? And then risking a turnover. Trayce Jackson Davis does not have that problem. He's going right for it. And if he can finish, he will finish. And here, a little bit, clunky, if you will. It's not smooth. He's not Giannis, but he's able to beat his man on most nights down the court. When the Raptors face the Indiana Pacers next year, he will be able to beat Ivica Zubac off to the races. What about the box work? Now, again, this is not going to be his role in the NBA, and unless he gets dramatically better as a basketball player, he's probably never going to be asked to do this more than once a game. However, it is worth noting that sometimes in a cross-match situation or on a switch, you will have a smaller player guarding a bigger player in the post. And having a big who has at least some functional understanding of how to post up, how to finish, manage footwork, avoid fouling, avoid bowling over somebody. Just a person who has, at least at some point in their life, had this skill set is very important to me. So here, he is able to just get around the defense. Decent footwork on that. Here, we're seeing a little bit of up and unders, one shoulder, turn, boom. I mean, this is old school as hell. And obviously, if he went to Europe right now, he'd average 25 points per game. But this is not going to be his role in the NBA. But the threat to be able to do this if you guard him with a much smaller player is good for me. Like that's important. I don't think a lot of guards and wings are going to be able to stop him from doing this. And it's worth noting he does occasionally he will do a little bit of this stuff in the NBA as well. Here you see an example where Jonathan Kuminga is going to pass him the ball, and that is the aforementioned Ivica Zubac. And here he's just able to put it over him. It's not smooth. It's not efficient. It's not something the Raptors should ever go to unless it is like, you know, I mean, no offense to him at all, but the Raptors have better players to do this, right? Eventually, Colin Murray Boyles will have this in his repertoire. Brandon Ingram loves to do stuff like this. Scottie Barnes is turning into, somebody who operates out of the post here. No, he doesn't. He doesn't need to do this. He needs to effectively cut off of these situations. We don't need to run offense through him. But again, it's good to know that the Raptors, who love to run, hub offense through their bigs, that there is this opportunity for a one dribble, put down, and then slam it over. Now, this is where it's going to get a little bit funky. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to look at one of his worst finishing games. And this was against the LA Clippers, against, once again, the aforementioned Ivica Zubac. I bring these two players up because, both of these guys are similar-ish. Obviously, Ivica Zubac, much better player. They have a lot in common. Neither one really takes jump shots. Both are really good rim protectors. There are differences in terms of size, weight, experience, etc. But I want to show you how much he struggles against length in terms of finishing here. Now here, look at that 7'4" wingspan with Ivica Zubac. And here he's trying to finish. He's using his offhand to try and field. Here he's able to finish. But here, when he tries to create his own offense against Zubac, you're going to see why Zubac is such a great defender last year. Just nothing. Couldn't do it, but gets his own offensive rebound. Once again, thinking, hey, I'll take the slower footed Zubac off the court, off the dribble. And once again, a missed layup. I mean, the Raptors should be used to this. RJ Barrett does this 15 times a game, so it's no problem. But here, Dennis Schroeder hands him the ball, and Zubac just says, get the fuck out of here, right? And this is where some people will say, well, undersized. Okay, yeah, because if Trayce Jackson-Davis was 7'1", Trayce Jackson-Davis would probably be a $20 million player. So yes, there is a gap between being 6'9" without elite wingspan. Like 7-foot wingspan is okay. But he is, compared to the players who he'll be going up against every night, he does have a small disadvantage in terms of height and length. And it's not nearly as glaring as the one that CMB has, but it is there. It is absolutely there for sure. He is going to be smaller than most centers on most nights. He's going to be smaller than Jokic, he's kind of Şengün size, but a little bit shorter than Şengün, but it's very similar. Here, once again, and that was against Norman Powell. So that wasn't even against the center. That was against Norman Powell. Another finishing opportunity here. This one against Zubac and gets blocked again. Another one here, Dennis Schroeder going up against James Harden. This one is going to be a great one. And this is where his offense, this is the bread and butter. The Raptors do enough of this. Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Scottie Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley. This is a lot of dribble creation, not a lot of efficient paint, not a lot of efficient dynamic ball handling, but definitely the Raptors offense does create enough downhill gravity for him to be wide open on some of these plays. So good job finishing that one. And this one, he's just able to just put this up over some length. Let's talk about rim pressure. And this is where we got to talk about those dunks. Okay, this is a very frequent dunker. Everyone has seen him dunking on Victor Wembanyama. Someone saying, is he even taller than Mamu? He's about an inch taller than Mamu, probably. He's a little bit longer than Mamu, but that doesn't really matter. For our purposes, it doesn't really matter. The point here is this is an above the rim athlete, okay? And he loves to dunk. He loves to dunk. In fact, he, as a rookie, broke the Warriors record for dunks, I think, for the past 25 years. I've mentioned this before. Once again, Steph Curry going against Trey Johnson, and here, boom, right? Take that dunk right over him. And this puts a lot of force, let's just say, because he's not one to shy away from, trying to put guys on posters. He's very aggressive, has a lot of dog in him on those. And he's able to slip this one right here, where this is going to be a little bit clunky, barely gets it, grabs it somehow around Donovan Clingan, and is able to just put it over. So he does have this right here, this vertical lob threat that you wanted with someone like Derek Lively. Again, in a much smaller package, sure. The catch radius isn't as large as Jakob Poeltl, but Jakob Poeltl very rarely is going to dunk. He's not going to finish these. Dunks are a funny thing, right? A lot of casual fans love dunks. A lot of analytics people love dunks. And so one thing that everyone in basketball can agree on, dunks are great. Dunks are awesome. Why are dunks awesome? Well, I mean, they can be a little demoralizing for the other team. Sure. They're the most efficient shot in basketball. Sure. I mean, nothing more efficient than a dunk. The only thing more efficient than a dunk is a Steve Nash free throw. So when you look at it this way, someone saying same height as Mamu. Well, according to Mike Dunleavy, a he grew an inch after his rookie season, so he should be about 6'10" right now. And if you're looking around the court, there's Al Horford. He's around the same size as Al Horford. Al Horford was an all-star center. I don't understand this undersized stuff too much. You know, it's just because he sometimes struggles to finish around the rim, but he's still so much better at it than some of the players you've employed, man. And here, you know, this vertical threat. I mean, just imagine how many times Scottie can throw him this pass. Again, he has a lot in common with a lot of bigs that the Raptors have employed. He is a little bit like Chris Boucher in the sense that he is able to attack the rim and get a lot of dunks and a lot of blocks. He is a little bit like Precious Achua in the sense that he is able to handle the ball on the break. He's a little bit like Jakob Poeltl in the sense that he's able to operate as a hub. He is a little bit like Colin Murray Boyles in the sense that he is able to switch a little bit better than Jakob is. He's a combination and amalgamation of a lot of players that have worked very well with Scottie. A limited sample of his playmaking, but also honestly, a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio through his first 3 years. Very impressive. Look at that pass here to Jonathan Kuminga. Another one here. This is not as impressive, but again, the Raptors run a lot of DHOs, and here you can just imagine Emmanuel quickly getting the ball off of him. He doesn't stop moving once he makes the pass. Obviously, there's always a screen or a release or a roll or something. And here, Chris Paul just gets all the way to the rim because of how Victor Wembanyama plays it. Here again, once again, against the Spurs, sets a screen away to allow Andrew Wiggins a clean look. He actually called Andrew Wiggins his favorite teammate in his rookie interview, so maybe he's already very familiar with Canada and Toronto. Who knows, man? So yeah, here again, something that should be very familiar to the Raptors. Again, this is going to be open for RJ Barrett and Jacoby Walter all day. So good job. Let's get to the defense because this is where I think he is even better than his offense. And his defense is unique in the sense that I usually don't think that a player who's on this cheap a deal would be this good defensively, but he actually is. He's one of I want to be generous and say he's one of the 25 best defensive bigs in the league. He might be top 30. Top 35. He might be top 35, but at his best, I think he could be top 20. I think he's a really good defender. Watch this. Okay. So these are going to be divided into what I call hip switching and rim protecting. So hip switching is just going to be any situation where the defensive possession for him is going to start outside the paint, where either he's going to have to tag a roller above the break or he's going to have to stay with a guard, absorb a bump, something of that sort. The rim protection part is going to be any situation where he's the low man and he has to react to a drive, maybe as a weak side shot blocker, even if his man gets the ball on a post up, he blocks the guy, whatever, on ball, off ball, doesn't matter. Point is, these are two different coverages. Switch, drop, totally different. I believe he is going to be a better switch big for the Raptors than he was for the Warriors. The Raptors have a better defense than the Warriors. They have a better defender next to him in Scottie Barnes. And I, for one, am very excited about his defensive synergy with Scottie because he does a lot of things very, very well that will match well Scottie. So here, you see Brandon Podziemski. Number 8 is keeping Podziemski on his hip. He's able to just delay this drive, but also he's able to get back into the play and poke the ball away on the pass from Zubac. Once again, here, stay with the driver, which is Norman Powell. Stay with him, and then absorb the bump. And that was called a foul, but I really liked the technique. It was great. Here, one-on-one against Naz Reid. Naz Reid obviously, grew up playing a lot of wing. Very good ball handler, takes a lot of centers off the dribble. And here he's going to test Trayce Jackson-Davis and test his lateral quickness. And Jackson just gets down in his stance and, matches him step for step and is able to meet him at the rim and actually block his shot. Very impressive. Here, once again, he's able to poke this away on the drive from Anthony Simons. Once again, this time as a retreating big, facing the downhill pressure, in this case of Scoot Henderson. Not necessarily the greatest finisher in the league, but here he is able to erase this one at the rim. And I think that's impressive. There's a lot of bigs who get lost on that play or commit a foul or just completely, get dusted. Once again, here you have a wing who is trying to go at you and you're just able to block it. Once again, here is able to stop this drive. I think this is probably more of a drop situation, but okay. Here, he's able to erase this by picking it off. Here, this is LeBron James, asks for a switch, thinks he can exploit the matchup on the bigger player, asks for a clear out to get Andrew Wiggins out of the way, and then goes the other way to attack with Klay Thompson down there. And Trayce Jackson Davis just says, LeBron James, LeBron nothing. Just erases his drive. Here, this is probably more of a drop play, my bad. Here, once again, asked to switch on to a guard and is able to stay with him and then just erase it from behind the rear contest. I think what I would focus on if I were you here is probably the number of good decisions he's able to make in split second, right? So again, plan one, plan two, plan three. If plan one is to get the defender to run off the line, then plan two is to rear contest until help can recover, and then plan three is to help the helper. So in a lot of ways, he is just very active and engaged on the defensive end into the schemes. Here on a DeJounte Murray drive, he's able to dig at the basketball, and here he's going to close out to a Bogdanovich three and block it. Again, snap, snap, snap decisions, and this is a good omen for him being a reasonable perimeter defender. I'm not saying this is Bam Adebayo or Scottie Barnes or Colin Murray-Boyles. I'm not saying he's going to be able to do it at that level, but it's nice to see that here on a switch on Darius Garland, of all players, that he is able to just stay with him and avoid fouling. Once again, this time Austin Reeves, retreat, 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 but contest on the pass and then recover back in time to block the roller, which is Rui Hachimura there. Very good. Here, avoid jumping on the shot fake, catch this defender who catches you off balance, and then recover in time to force him into an awkward release and then a block. And then here we have Tyrese Halliburton, again, the maestro Tyrese Halliburton in this situation, right? Tyrese is really good at exploiting bigs into fouls, into mistakes. He likes to play the cat and mouse game with bigs. And here, Halliburton being very smooth, looking for probably this baseline cutter here. And Jackson Davis just reads the whole thing and is able to recover in time. So not only is he able to stop the floater or the threat of the floater from Tyrese Halliburton, and then he's able to recover back in time. There's not a lot of bigs who win the cat and mouse game with guys like Jason Kidd and Tyrese Halliburton and Trae Young. So very impressive from him. Great ball handlers are designed to exploit the weakness of bigs here. Once again, this time a drive from a wing and is sent away very quickly. Another drive from a wing. Once again, he's able to absorb that initial bump and he's able to recover and boom, get that block. Here, more of a help situation where he's going to retreat, recover. Now he's going to see this offensive player get very, very low, and then he's able to switch his hips, and then he's able to stuff it. Very impressive. Again, that's not blazing speed by any means, but this is all showing extremely good balance, very good instincts, and reasonable lateral quickness here. Here on this little dribble handoff attempt here, he is going to take this. He's going to switch. Well, it's not really a switch there. My bad. On Tim Hardaway Jr. Here, it gets a little bit lost momentarily, and this entire play is designed to get Derek Lively as a roller to the basket. And here, even though he was the guy right here, watch this again. He's able to contest the pass, which I value this very much. Bigs who contest passes, very important, right? Because sometimes guards are able to make very clean passes. Bigs who are able to get their hands up and still recover. This is why the Raptors defense is actually better with rookie Colin Murray-Boyles than it is with veteran Jakob Poeltl. Part of that is Jak's back, but also part of it is just Colin Murray-Boyles' persistent ability to just delay, force the shot clock into a deeper rotation, force bigs into tougher passes, force guards and bigs into tougher, catches, receives. So I just think that this activity, the defensive motor and activity level is very important, but also so is the recovery here. where he is able to block 7'3" uh, Derek Lively at the rim. Very impressive to recover onto that. Here, Cole Anthony, who absolutely destroyed the Toronto Raptors in this exact play over and over and over, coming off of a screen and then blazing downhill with his quickness and athleticism, where the Raptors just did not have anybody who could recover in time. And here, Trayce Jackson Davis is able to recover. Let's look at more, let's call it like prototypical rim protection here from Trayce Jackson Davis. And this is just going to be him and his instincts as a shot blocker, using all 7'1" of that length and all the burst and athleticism that he has, that quick jump and second jump that he has. Again, this is not a monster in terms of size. Scottie Barnes is longer than him and just as tall as him. So in a lot of ways, I understand the criticisms of people who are saying, wait a second, is this a center or is this like more of a really, really large small forward, power forward? And I get that. But at the same time, like if he gets there, who cares? You know what I mean? He's able to use every inch and every angle to exploit like what he can, and he's doing the best that he can with what he has. And while he is a little bit undersized, I genuinely don't give a shit. Like I really cannot get over how much this annoys me that people just keep talking about this one thing about him. And it's just like I think that's more of a symptom of our time that we live in. It's just like everyone just wants to talk about this one thing about this one person. It's like almost like a reputation thing where it's like, oh, the Raptors got a big. Oh yeah, but he's undersized. Like he's strong, he's athletic, he's smart. Can we talk about something else? It's very annoying. Here, poke, help, stay alert, and help side, block that shot. Victor Wembanyama, Draymond Green obviously helping here. And this is why bigs who are active force mistakes, because players who are making passes are human. And here, if Draymond Green is not so pesky on the ball, right here, watch this, right? If he doesn't try to get his hand in the passing lane, maybe Trayce Jackson Davis doesn't get his hands on this. But here he's able to get a steal and jump in the passing lane. Once again, here, just look at the activity level. Look at how neutral he stays. He doesn't overcommit, right? Like right now, he's not jumping out to 44 like Precious Achua and then getting cut backdoor. He's waiting. He's waiting. He's very patient. Right here, okay, 44 is going to make his move now. Now we're going to react to it. Like we're not going to overreact presumptuously. And that's why he doesn't pick up so many fouls. Like that's why he had the lowest foul rate of any player I was looking at yesterday. Once again, here, Josh Hart just gets sent away. Here, another one just gets sent away. It's a block party. And Trayce Jackson Davis said, you are invited. Here, D'Lo, right? Really good dynamic guard with great ball handling here. Chris Paul is going to get beat. But guess what? Trayce Jackson Davis got your back. So rest assured, Emmanuel Quickly, Trayce Jackson Davis got your back. Better take him out for the dinner because he's going to help you out a lot here. He's able to block this shot. He also has a unique ability. We're not going to look at it in the film, but he has a unique ability to try to keep the ball inbounds after blocks, which I genuinely appreciate. Here, once again, you see that as rim protection, right? If a big cannot catch the ball because you're able to poke it away without fouling, then I think that is great. And this event creation that he has defensively without fouling is truly the most impressive thing about him. Here, once again, you see he stays on balance until the last possible moment. Once again, you can look at every single play. Does he ever overcommit? Right here, he's splitting the difference because a pass is possible and a layup is possible. He's sitting right in the middle of it until it is obvious what the move will be. Here, it is obvious. And now he's like, okay, time to react, right? Once again, in this situation, boom. As a rim protector, he is able to read what the offense is doing better than most rookies, second-year players, and third-year players I've ever seen in my life. Like, he is truly some impressive shit. Once again, neutral, completely neutral. He's basically Switzerland, okay? Here, you expose the ball, he'll just poke it away. Perfect. Once again, here, he sees that this drive is coming from Jaylen Brown, and he is just going to erase it at the rim. Jaylen Brown, he didn't see him. Look at Pajemski, right? You can imagine Scottie Barnes or Emmanuel Quickly or Jamal Shed doing this, and look at this. Look at his eyes the whole time. Now, consider the options. Jaylen Brown is not a very frequent passer of the basketball. Pajemski is helpless in a matchup against Jaylen Brown. The middle is open. So right here, he could, in theory, just go and try to contest the rim right now and delay the drive or deter the drive, right? This is easily possible, right? You can do that. However, what you open up in that situation, and again, knowing this situationally, is a possible pass out to Al Horford, who is a very reasonable shooter. So in this situation, he waits and he waits. And this is when he starts to make his move. When the second Brown touches the free throw line, his brain says, go. And for the Raptors, who have watched a lot of either slow footed bigs, Aaron Baines, Kem Birch, or have watched a lot of witted bigs like Precious Achua and Chris Boucher, it really helps to have a player who is neither slow witted nor slow footed. And here, he's just going to time this perfectly. Again, there's no overcommitment right here. He doesn't commit before he has to, because there's always that drop off pass to Andre Drummond, which is possible. And very often bigs struggle with this, especially young bigs, because they don't know when I should go and when I should not. Even here, right? How easy. When do you think he noticed this? He's aware of it right here. Again, this is another Jaylen Brown drive. So JB is fast. He sees it right here. He sees it. But once again, his man is Al Horford. So he can't just completely abandon him. Now he sees the situation. Okay. And the situation is that Derek White and Al Horford are about to be wide open. Steph is calling for a help. So he's pointing to it. Clay's beat. I need help. And here he waits, because if he was already under the rim, this is a wide open pass. Timing is everything in life and in basketball. And his timing on just about everything is so fucking impeccable. It's is a really impressive player. I hope you can feel my enthusiasm about him. And again, I'm not sitting here telling you he's going to be a starting center. He's going to be an all-star. He's the greatest pickup ever. This is not a player who's as good as Otto Porter was. This is not a player who's as good as Jakob Poeltl or CMB. Frankly, he'll be a better player than CMB this year, but this will be the last year he'll be better than CMB. But man, he is so impressive for what he is. And what he is this, right? Just a player who is able to do shit, read shit, right? A player who is able to make snap decisions. Look, how many bigs are lost here? How many bigs on this very play that I'm looking at here? One pass, two pass are lost. He's not lost. Still going to get the rebound. What about this one right here? Look at this. React to the guard, be mindful of the center, close back out to the center, absorb the bump from the center, still have the contest, and get the rebound. 1 to 2 seconds, 5 decisions. So, all of this to say, I really like Trayce Jackson-Davis, and I really hope that after this film session, which has lasted almost 40 minutes now, that you like it too. If you like film sessions, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to Pensare Basketball, and definitely consider checking out the Pendance Film Festival coming up February 27th to March 1st. I'll talk to y'all later. Military man saying Zubac's lifted out Sunday. Yes, I said that. He is out. He just had a kid. I do not expect him to play very much, and I genuinely think that they're just going to tank. I really don't think there's any reason for them to be competitive. Jay Powell said IQ ain't throwing him no lob. Don't be so surprised. Scottie loves throwing lobs. He's just never had a lob target, so now he has one. Vertical spacing, man, very important. James Welsh, thank you with the very solid advice here. Rob, try to get some rest. Yes, I am looking very, very tired, I would imagine. I was looking it over today, and I realized that I have done 5 or 6 lives in the last 40 hours. Add in the Player's Choice 3 hours. I've pretty much live streamed for about 14 to 15 hours of the last 50 hours. It's insane. All right. Time to get some. I would love to say it's time to get some rest. It's not going to be rest. Pepperjack saying, thanks for the live, Rob. Can't wait for the next live in 2 hours. Just kidding. Hey, you might not be wrong. Maybe the Raptors signed somebody. I don't know. All right. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace. Thank you so much, Pepperjack. Peace.